Hello, fellow sports fanatics. Welcome back to the Sports Fanatic Podcast. I am your host, Skylar, the Sports Fanatic. And today on the show, we are going to have a little bit of a Flyers frenzy. We're going to dive into our Phillies, kind of like we normally do. We'll tap into some news from around the league, and then we'll end the show by previewing the playoffs that are now set, both in the NBA and the NHL. It will be an exciting show today. First, as I mentioned last week, we're going to dive into the Flyers, see what they've been up to this offseason, what next season will look like. And, this past season was exciting. A lot of big moments, a lot of exciting things to see, a lot of things to be excited about. We're going to go through, line by line and kind of just see where each guy stacked up to one another. And if we feel like they need to move around a little bit, our usual line one, Konechny, Couturier, Michkov. Our boy hanging up here. Rookie of the year, rookie of the century. He has been such a blessing for the Flyers to have found, to have grabbed, to have gotten right in the fire and letting him get his skates wet early, because I think he needs the experience and he needs to continue to get more of it so that he can continue to grow into the special player that he is. Leading the team this season, 26 goals. He had 37 assists to follow that up. What more could we ask from him? Other than to continue to evolve and continue to become the star player that he's going to be. When that contract time comes, no fumbling. You got to lock him in and make this guy a Flyer for life. For life. Captain in the middle. I love Couturier. We all do. But I think it's time he shifts down the line. We think we need a true center. I think we need to go find a true center this offseason. And I don't know where that is. Because, I'll be honest with you guys. We'll tap into where they are in the draft and all that stuff later in just a couple minutes here. But I don't watch a lot of college hockey. I watch a little bit of the lower league hockey, with the Royals and the Bears, and I watch a little bit of those guys and things of that nature, and the Phantoms, but I don't pay attention as much as I should. And, the evolution of this show and me is to get to every single sport watching. But we got to find ourselves a center, whether that's finding a guy in free agency, whether that's trading to get a guy or finding a kid in the draft. Got to address getting a true number one center to lead this team. Out on the left, Konechny. 24 goals. He was second in the team in goals. He had 52 assists to follow that up. On it, 42 blocks. Couturier 45, but what more could you ask for from Travis Konechny also? I love me a lot of Travis Konechny. If he continues to play up to his level and he continues to emerge as a star also, him and Michkov could be a deadly unit together. They just get themselves a real good true center there in the middle who's going to be constantly setting them up with goals back and forth. What a scary first line it's going to be. It's going to be a terrifying first line to go up against. Total on the season, that line produced 65 goals for this team. 119 of the assists, 543 shots, to get, only 65. I'd like to see that go up, definitely. But this has been, a great first line. And like I said, the next iteration of this line is going to be even better with a true, real good center there in the middle that's going to set him up. Not to say that Couturier is not a real good center. I just think it's time for him to take a step back. I really do. The second line, and this is where we could dance around a little bit, to be honest with you. I think our second line, so here, I'm going to make this argument. And again, I want to hear your guys' opinion. You tell me. You tell me in the comments whether I'm crazy or just talking wild, or what do you think? But second line here, we start in the middle. We'll start in the middle. Noah Cates. And I'm a 50-50. I think that 16 goals in the season, not terrible. He could be, I think we could move him out to the left wing and let him play a little more out there, not worry so much about center duties. But I don't think that he's a terrible player. And I'll tell you why, too, that I think we should move him off to the left wing, because out on the left wing here is Tyson Forrester. I love Tyson Forrester. I'm a big Tyson Forrester fan. I think that he is going to be a special player also. This team is full of special players. If they just are allowed to play simple hockey, be themselves, I think that there's so many stars in this team just waiting to emerge. Forrester's one. I think we move him to the center position. Maybe even bump him up to the first line and let him play with Konechny and Michkov. And then we need to find a true second or third center then. And I think that could unlock something that's crazy. I mean, come on, you got to give it a chance, right? Why not? Let these young guys play together and just create magic. I mean, Forrester, 25 goals right behind Michkov on the season. I think now maybe that would be a little bit of a too many guys on the first line wanting to score goals, but it could be exciting hockey to watch. That would bring Couturier down to the second line in the middle of Cates, and on the right wing, Bobby Brink. I love Bobby Brink. I think this guy's a grinder. He gets in there and he tries so hard to get anything done that he can, whether it's just collecting the puck for the team, whether it's trying to score goals. I know he only got 12 in the season, but trying to score them, putting in the 29 assists, putting in the effort. I think every time he's on the ice is what this guy brings to the table. Now, second line, I don't fully agree with. I think we bring him down to the third line, because on our third line, we have in the right wing slot Owen Tippett, who I think is another special star player waiting to break out. If we bring him up to that second line, bring Brink down to the third line, what a deadly second line now. Owen Tippett can get it done anywhere. Slap shot, wrist shot, but especially sneaking in with the backhand shot and laying in a backhand shot. 20 goals on the season. I think a special player right there. 63 blocks. He is willing to do whatever it takes to win the game. So I think that Tippett comes up. Brink should come down one line. And then first and second line are almost pretty set, for next season, I would almost argue. You think of the first line, Konechny, and either a new star center or Tyson Forrester and Michkov. Come on, what a deadly first line. Bring the second line in, we would have over there on the left Noah Cates, Couturier in the middle, and Owen Tippett on the right. I think that, again, you're looking at a really good, really great quality line right there. I think that that's another great line that we could build off of. Finish off the third line, Poehling in the middle. I don't hate that either. I don't hate Ryan Poehling being in the middle. I mean, I think, again, he's a guy who can move around a little bit. We can move him out to the wing or bring him in center, but Peltier on the wing, these guys aren't not terrible guys out here. The fourth wing needs work. That's where I think we get a little bit more names in the fourth wing. I'm going to butcher these names, so be prepared. Nicholas Delsalarius, Dorwart, and Hathaway on the fourth line. I think if we edit out the first three lines, and then in the center we have those guys shift around a little bit, I think that the fourth line could kind of be exactly what the fourth line is now, and just kind of stick it together of different names, and it'll create some kind of special magic. You know what I mean? I think that this team has a lot of special magic built in it, and a lot of guys just waiting to break out, just waiting. I think that they need to be let loose, and it's going to be a special team next season. We move into defensive side. This is where I think they could really take a step forward. But I also believe that some of these guys need to shift around to make some better units. But first line, Sealer, Sanheim, I'm a huge fan of Travis Sanheim. I think that he's going to be a great offensive, defensive player. Just let him be him. And that's the theme with this team moving forward, is letting these guys be themselves, but coaching them up the right way to allow them to be themselves and unleashing the potential of everybody at the same time. This is a special couple of years coming up. Sealer, I'm back and forth with. I mean, 200 blocks is phenomenal, so I can't be too upset with that. Sanheim's not too far behind him with 170. That's exactly what you want out of your first line. You know, they got to be throwing those bodies at shots and getting that puck out of there. That's what I want them to do. But I would also like a little bit more goals production. Only 3 for Sealer, 8 for Sanheim. I think Sanheim has the potential to score more goals if we let him take a couple more shots, but he's got to take that next step forward. The second line, this is where I think we're going to shift a little bit. Cam York is going to be a star. He's going to be special. I believe he's going to be something special. We let him, again, be himself and unlock the special defensive plays that he can make and some of the skating. He's got real good skating. He get in there and make some really good shots. I think we let him unleash and be him. Maybe shift him around to the first line. Maybe let him play a little bit up there. See how it goes. Only 126 blocks, so he's going to have to be willing to throw the body at a couple more shots. But his fellow riding mate next to him, Jamie Drysdale, I'm a huge fan of this guy too. He has been a great defensive man back there in the line. I just believe that if you let him play there, and then the guy we have down here on the third line, Zamula, bring him up, second line, there we go. I love that lineup there. You know, we get York along Sanheim, get Zamula with Drysdale, bring Sealer down. I know the last two, we got Johnson and Andre as defensemen. We need a 1 or 2 solid name defensemen guys to really make this, I think, a special defensive team this season. Just a great opportunity to be something special. And I think that you let those guys, you got to let some of these guys be themselves, you know, and let them go out there and create magic together. The power play lineups they don't really need to be too adjusted. I think they're doing just fine with the way that they're kind of set up. I just think that once you throw a couple new names into this lineup, it's going to be looking a lot scarier. It's going to be looking a lot more like the Flyers that we are used to loving and seeing. I think the chance there is there. I know the past few seasons have been tough going. To watch this team every year just kind of limp through and get through it. They shock us a little bit here and there, but in the end, it's always a disappointment, and it's time for a change. It's time for change here. It's time for us to raise that cup. It's been way too long since we have had a Stanley Cup here in Philadelphia, and I believe that it's time for us to have the cup raised again here in Philadelphia. It's time. It's time. And then this is the unit to do it. I think that this is the team that's going to get the job done, as long as on the back end, this is the real big improvement we need to make. I don't hate Sam Ersson, but I don't love Sam Ersson. I don't think Erisson's the answer, and I don't think he's a good 1A. I think he should be a really good 1B. Give him 30 games, 35 games a season, and hopefully he wins the majority of those, and hopefully he has a good percentage. I just don't I think we need a true 1A. And I don't know where that comes from. Whether that's trading for somebody, finding somebody in free agency, I don't know who that would be, or finding a young kid in the draft who, again, I also don't know who that would be either. So I don't fully have the answer there, a goalie, but I do know that I've seen enough Sam Ersson to know that unless he takes a huge leap forward this offseason or next season when he steps out on that ice, something kicks in, he gets a spark lit under his butt, I don't know. But unless anything like that happens, he's a 1B. I think that he's a good 1B, but he's not a 1A. And it's time Philly raises that cup again. So we get that goaltending. We let these young kids go to work. This Flyers team is going to be a real good team the next few years. We just got to give them a chance to get there. So that brings us to the fact that during the season, we had John Tortorella back there at the helm, and he's a great coach. I just think that much like what I've heard and some of the analysts saying all that thing, it just wasn't the right fit anymore. He came here and he helped shift the culture, which was needed, and he helped give a good base to the team, good foundation to build off of. But the boys are ready for a new voice, a new leader, someone who's really gonna come in and lead this team to the Stanley Cup. Because that's what it's time for again. That's what it's time for here. That brings us to their hire in Rick Torchek. And he is a former Flyer, drafted here, played most of his career with the Flyers. He wasn't a stud player by any stretch of the imagination, but he wasn't the worst player in the world either. I think that I had him up here in a minute. He goes off to the Penguins. He gets a cup there instead of one here. A little devastating, but I've heard that because they're bringing in another former Flyer back, and this is only like the third or fourth former Flyer, coach in the 60 years of the team, 60, 80 years of the team. So it's not like that's a lot. I mean, it's a decent amount, but it's not like it's every single coach has been a former Flyer. Either way, I think this guy's great. He was very sought after. His career in coaching, magnificent. He started off with Tampa Bay. Pretty good start with Tampa Bay in his coaching career. Then he moved to Arizona, where he helped that team kind of shift and transform. And, he gets to Vancouver. Wow. I mean, last season, 109 in points, 82 and 50. I'm sorry, 50-23. Unbelievable record for Vancouver, who goes to the playoffs. They fall short, but this guy's sought after. Everywhere he goes, he brings a great attitude. He brings the Flyer mentality, which is hard-nosed. We're going to make you work for this. You're not just going to come in here and push us around. You're not just going to bully us. You're not just going to walk right through Philly. Absolutely not. You come here and the fans are going to make sure you know. And you're going to leave this game either a little banged up, a little sore, whether it's the old ego because of a loss or because physically we just beat them up. And that's what this team is going to get back to under Rick. I really believe that. 25th coach in the franchise's history. Hopefully going to be a long tenure here with multiple cups. I think he's going to be a good voice. I really do. He is going to be... He's going to get in there and not like Tortorella, who was, if you have a problem, come to me. He's more, if there's a problem, I'm going and we're taking care of business. We're not going to let shit linger. We're not going to... We're just... It's time to get out of our heads. This team, it's time to stop worrying about the drama and start worrying about the on-ice production. That's it. Game in, game out. I want you to go out there, grind it out, work your asses off, and the victories will hopefully start just piling up for this team because, like I said, we are full of special players, and now we got a special coach. A special coach. A very experienced coach. So it's not just like a former Flyer. This is also a guy who's left, gone to other organizations, won, showed that he's a winner, showed that he's a leader, showed that he knows how to get the best out of vets and young guys. Last year, the Jack Adams Award. You got to be excited. I think you got to be excited, honestly. If you're a Flyers fan, you got to be excited. I think you got to be really excited. You really do. Because this is a guy who's going to bring attitude. I think he's going to bring them attitude. I really do. So a great decision there. I just think that we should expect a cup. Hopefully, he pushes these guys to the cup, if not multiple. Just continue to build around the foundation that is already set. There's already a nice foundation set. With that foundation being set this offseason, the moves that have kind of been made a little bit, they signed Helge Grans to a 2-year extension. He's a defensive-man. Yeah, he's a young guy coming up. He's a big guy. He's a big defensive man. He's going to be a good defensive man. I don't think he's going to be a great defensive man, but he's going to be a good defensive man. It's not a bad decision there. Huge. They signed a 2-year extension for Tyson Forrester, who you want locked into long-term deal. We really do. But you know that he's thinking, I continue to play like I'm playing, and I get better and a little better, then I should get a deal. That's why I said that this team has a chance to be really good and special for a long time if the front office, Keith, Danny, if they construct everything right and get the contracts nice and wiggled out correctly, locking these guys up, this is a chance to be a really special team for a long time. For a long time. No excuses anymore. I just no more excuses for the Flyers after this season. Especially because the draft coming up, 3 firsts, 4 seconds? That's ammunition. That's ammunition. to either load up on young guys who are going to be special or have the potential to be very special players, or that's some capital to go out there and say, who can we get? Shop's open. We got a handful of picks. Who wants some picks? And find you a star goalie or a star center, and then get a young, whichever of the other one in the draft. And let's go. Let's go next season. Let's do this thing, Flyers. It's time for us to get the cup. It's time. It's time for us to be excited about watching Flyers hockey. Not that we're always not excited to watch the boys go to work, but how much more exciting would it be to have them in the playoffs again? Especially to be sitting here June with them possibly getting a Stanley Cup opportunity. It would be a magical thing to have all of our teams playing at one time together. It would just be great. It'd be great for the sports fanatic to be soaked in all of that sports. So, Flyers fans, it's time to get excited. It's time. Let's get excited about where this team is headed. Let's get excited about next season, the season after that. I know next season everybody's counting them out, but hey, you never know if he gets this team flowing in the right direction right out of the gate, and all the young guys pick it up and start clicking right away. And again, we answer the question at goalie and get a better 1A. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for this team. As we move along in the show now, that was about where we are with our Flyers. We're going to jump to the next topic here. Oh, boy. The old Phillies. Here we go. The week. Whew. Tough week. Not going to lie. 6-4 in the last 10. Currently riding a 3-game losing streak. It started off strong. The week started strong. It did. We look at the week. We started the week from where we were last week, where we pick it up. We finished smoking the Rockies, which was exactly what we needed to do. But then we moved into a series with the A's, and it was tough. The A's aren't the Rockies. The A's are battling for their season, too. They're no slouches. Tough games. Again, we went into the series with the Braves, same thing. No matter what the Braves' record is against anybody else, always going to play the Phillies tough. Always going to. You have to expect that when it comes to Atlanta and Philly. It's the rivalry that we've built with them. So then, we moved into the series with the Brewers, which we're currently in. By the time I'm editing this episode, they'll be playing the third game in the series, so that result will be out by the time that this episode gets out. But as of right now, we're getting smoked. Just smoked. I don't know if Milwaukee's got kryptonite just like St. Louis, but yesterday's performance, whew, man. 17 runs to 7. Now, yesterday apparently was the day of beatings, as I saw the Nationals put up 10 in the first inning of their game. The Dodgers absolutely pounded the Yankees with an 18-2 victory. So, yesterday seemed to be the day of ass kickings. And unfortunately, our Phillies were on the receiving end of the ass kicking. But hopefully, this can be a launch-off point, and the boys can wake up. Hey, whoa, like a smack in the face, like, all right, well, Bryce Harper goes down, we got to pick it up until he comes back, which we'll dive into the Bryce Harper injury here momentarily. But, we saw some good things. We saw some bad things. The offense slowed down a little bit in some of these games, but they also have shown me in the past few weeks. Now, of course, they've lost a couple games here, but they've shown me in the past month that they have the ability to come back in games. That it's not always doom and gloom. Anytime I see them go down by a bunch of runs, I'm like, well, I'm checked out. Like, I don't even want to finish watching the game because it's just sad watching. You just sadly watch them get beat up for however many hours and however many innings, and it's just sad. But this year, this team has shown the ability to fight back. Even in the 17-7 loss yesterday to the Brewers, they showed that, we can produce runs. We can. They waited until the 9th inning to decide to do that, but they showed that they have the ability to do it. We're going to dive in a little bit, maybe not each game, but the Athletics series was a tough sledding. Each game was a bit of a dogfight. Bryce Harper suffers a devastating elbow injury. And the question on all Phillies fans' minds, and the question on a lot of people's minds are, where's your elbow guard? Where is it? I thought he used to wear one. Maybe he doesn't. I do know that Bryce has a tendency to change things up just a little bit from time to time with either equipment or bats, gloves, no gloves. If he's not feeling something, he changes something up a little bit just to see if he can get a different feel and get into a different mojo, and that works for him, and that's great. But, man, I'm not excited about that. I'm not excited about you getting hit in the elbow. Now, thankfully, scans came back negative. Nothing too serious. We've seen him this past few games wearing a little special gadget nerve thingy on there to help pulse and make everything go through his nerves and feel better so that his elbow can be 100%, because we are, maybe not now after a couple of losses, but we're still top in the NL. We're still top in baseball. It's just not like we need you to rush back, but we do. We do. We saw the 3-game losing streak we're riding right now. Again, since we lost Bryce in that game, we've been on quite a losing streak here, so it's not looking very exhilarating for us. But they, again, just need to lock in. The offense needs to lock back in. I don't know why, because Bryce goes down, everybody decides we're all doom and gloom now. We can't hit the ball anymore. No. That's where you should be like, whoa, all right, we got to pick it up and make sure we don't drop the slack so that when Bryce comes back, we're in a good spot. Not like Bryce comes back and feels like he needs to be, well, he needs to be a superstar. I want to see him be a superstar and take this team to the World Series, but I don't want him to come back right away and feel like he has to do that right away. I want him to be able to just slide back into the lineup, get right back to where the Phillies baseball has been, and that's where the team needs to go. That's where the direction the team needs to continue to focus on going. For me, my Philly of the week. Here we go, my Philly of the week. It's got to be Trey Turner. I think it's got to be Trey Turner. And it's got to be Trey Turner because I know he had a couple of silly errors a couple weeks back. But this guy is consistently hitting the ball. He's consistently getting on base. He's been starting to pop a couple dingers, which is exactly what we need to do. Every once in a while, just a surprise. Boom, home run. Whoa, what? Every once in a while, I need that. But he's consistently producing. He is just lighting it up right now. His average, he had a 317. Yeah, batting a 300 right now, which is amazing, for what we were asking him to do.
His defense, again, as long as he keeps stepping it up, no more goofs, no more oofs, just solid defense over there. That's all I'm asking you to do. And we know he's a special defender. He just needs to be that special defender. He's got to be the Philly of the week. He's continuing to be who we need him to be, even when the rest of the team is dooming and glooming because of Bryce Harper's injury, which we're not going to fully say that that's what's happening, but it feels like that, right? Harper goes down, and we almost lose every game since he's been hurt. Almost. But we almost lose every game since he's been hurt. So it just feels like it's doom and gloom without Harper in the lineup. Yeah, well, hopefully they turn it around. 1:35, first pitch today. We'll be there in a couple hours. Like I said, this video will probably be editing and uploading while that's happening. So we will see the result and talk about it next week. But, to look at the month of May, the boys were humming, a solid month. Everybody's picking up the average. Alec Boehm really turned it around. 324 average in the month of May. Wow. I was banging the gavel to get rid of this guy earlier. And now look at this. All the guys were right. The analytics, I didn't listen to them. And I should have. They all said, give him a chance to settle in. He likes to start a little slow and then pick it up. And you know what? Here we go. Schwarber, 288, 10 home runs. Not slowing down. No, Schwarberian. No slowing down. Just continue to hit those Schwar bombs. Right, left, center, to the moon. I don't care. Keep sending that ball out of the park. Every time he comes up to bat, it's exciting. You've no idea. You have no idea where he's going to hit that ball. Whether it's going to be a rocket in the field or a rocket over the stands. And his effort on the bases? Come on, I don't want to hear anybody say Kyle Schwarber can't run. I don't want to hear it. He may not be the best runner, but the guy knows how to get it done. Turner. Again, we just mentioned him. Philly of the month. Philly of the whatever. Week. All of it. Harper, we miss you. Come on back. 308 in the month of May. He was starting to pick it up. He was starting to turn around. Not the home runs. Only 3 home runs in the month of May. But I said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not asking you to hit home runs every time. I'm asking him to go up there and bat 308. That's what I'm asking him to do. I'm asking him to go up there and get a couple of doubles, get a couple of singles, knock runs in. That's what I'm asking him to do. 17 RBIs on the month. That's what I'm asking him to do. Just go up and knock runs in. Doesn't always have to be a home run. Kepler, very ugly month of May. I mentioned early on in the year that I was excited to see Kepler because he was a very good sleeper pickup for the Phillies in the field. He's got to pick it back up. I mean, not a great month. He still had his moments, and he still has his moments, but Kepler, we need you to pick it back up. The defense is solid. We're not too worried about the defensive side of the ball. We'll get to center field when we get there in a minute, but, JT, he's in a slump, man, and I hope he breaks it soon. 205 in the month of May. That's not JT. I banged the gavel earlier, too, in this year and talked about how JT is the best catcher in baseball. And obviously, I still stand by that. Just because he's in a slump does not mean that I change my feelings on that. Still the best catcher in baseball. I just think that he's got to find a way to get out of the slump. He's in one. He's stuck in it. Hopefully he gets through it soon, and we can be on the other side of it looking at a great season. Castellanos continues to be Castellanos. 300 average in the month of May. I want that to stay right there. Stay at a 300 average. Only 2 home runs. I'd like him to have a couple more home runs just because if he adds a couple more home runs, you think about that middle lineup could be any assortment of Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Bohm, or Bohm, Castellanos. Think about the fact that you don't know which one is going to hit a home run. That's scary. That's scary because it's 4 guys who you got to pitch. Obviously, you can't pitch around 4 guys in a row. You can't do that. So I think it's they just need to step it up. Bryson Stott, not the best month of May, not the worst, a 216 average of the month. His defense was, great. He's Bryson Stott, but I want his average to come up. We got to get that up to like a 250, 260. Got to get a couple more hits, honestly. He didn't have very many, only 9 RBIs. Now, I mean, he's not going to get very many of those leading hit, in the leadoff spot, but we need you to be I need a 250 to 300 average at the leadoff spot. So he's got to clean that up. He's got to pick up his hitting so he can stay in the leadoff spot. Rafael Marchand, we just want to throw a quick mention to him because his month, it doesn't matter what his whole month of May was like. It matters what his game was like the other day. It was the Marchand game, baby. Hitting home run, throwing guys out, gunning them down. 2 of them. 2 beautiful gun downs. Come on, Mar. I mean, what more can you ask for a guy who doesn't play every day? Who only gets a chance to play a handful of games because the guy in front of you is the best in the league? Usually the guy who's sitting behind the best doesn't get mentioned very often. But here, if he produces like that every time he gets to slide in that position, magic. Magic. We get to center field, and this is where I'm going to slam the gavel again. Marsh has been a good hitter. He's been a great hitter. He's a 298 average in the month of May. He's getting back to being Brandon Marsh at the plate, which is great. I love that at the plate. But defensively, man, I'm going to continue to protest for Johan Rojas. I think defensively, Johan Rojas is a better answer than Brandon Marsh. Now, Brandon Marsh did, in the A's game the other day, have a absolute beautiful gun down. He did from center field. He did. I'll hand it to him. Hand it to you. But, I mean, I still think that he's missed a lot of plays that I believe Johan Rojas could have made. And I think Johan's got him in speed just a little bit, which in that center field is kind of helpful because some of those plays that he's missed the past few games, Marsh, not that he didn't make a terrible play on him, like the ball got by him or anything. He made him a smart bounce off of some of them and stuff, but I think Johan catches it for an out. I believe that. Now, Rojas did not have a very good month of May at all, a 167, so his batting needs to go back up to where it was earlier in the season, but I mean, can't be too upset there. We got to throw Edmundo Sosa's name out there because I always love to throw Edmundo's name out there. He is amazing. I love Edmundo Sosa. He didn't have the best month, only a 238. He only got to play 15 games, but you know what? I still protest that him and Bryson should continue to split more games. I mean, Bryson obviously has to play more so that he gets more acclimated. He gets more into a rhythm as we wind the season down. We head to the playoffs. We need him to be Bryson Stott. But I love Edmundo Sosa. I think if he was an all-day starter, which he is right now with the Harper injury, they got him over third base, which is fine. He can play any base you want him to play, I think. Throw him out in the field, which we did. He can do it all. The man can do it all. We threw him out in the field. First one flew out there. Amazing catch. I mean, come on. The guy can do it all. So I think that we should put him anywhere that we can get him to play. He just needs a little bit more playing time to continue to be who we know he can be. And I think that that's going to be important for him moving forward. I really do. I think that'll be an important thing for him. But this lineup is scary, man. It's looking scary. We just need the boys to lock in. The bullpen is obviously the spot where we struggle. And I go back and forth between what this bullpen needs. Starting pitching, it feels like it's fabulous, and then it's like it decides not to be anymore. And I don't know. We don't know how to feel. We don't know the right way to feel. Let me pull up the month of May here for pitchers. I had it on the hitting. Switch it over here quick. The month of May for our starters was pretty stellar. I mean, Jesus Luzardo, 2-1 now, he had a terrible performance yesterday. A terrible performance yesterday, which is where he gets the one loss. But before that, he was undefeated. 2.8 ERA. He was mowing him down. And then yesterday, tough one yesterday. I mean, for him to give up so much. 40 strikeouts in the month of May. Jesus was mowing him down. Wheels continues to be Wheels. 4-1 in the month of May. A 2.25 ERA. He is our leader in the bullpen. He is. He's the leader of that bullpen. I'm glad, and I'm going to say it here again, just as I've pounded the desk and said multiple times, no Aaron Nola. I'm glad Aaron Nola is riding the bench or doing whatever he's doing. Let him sit out. I let him sit out all year. I mean, maybe needs to get a little bit correct if we have some more issues in the bullpen here, but get right, Aaron, before you decide to come back. I can't watch any more Aaron Nola. I can't. Not unless he gets his head out of his ass. I can't watch any more Aaron Nola. Ranger Suarez, untouchable in the month of May. 4-0, 2.97 ERA, 31 strikeouts. I forgot to mention 37 for Wheels, but 31 for Suarez. The guy is getting back to being Ranger Suarez. I am so excited now for the beginning part of this rotation. The opportunity to have Zach Wheeler, Jesus Luzardo, Ranger Suarez. If Christopher Sanchez can continue to evolve, because he needs to evolve a little more, only a 1-0 in the month of May. I mean, he had 31 strikeouts just like Suarez, so, and he didn't have a bad month, just didn't get it done in the win-loss record category as much. That is a scary starting rotation. I mean, the starting rotation is looking scary. And they said it looks scary with Aaron Nola in it. It looks terrifying without Aaron Nola in it. If Aaron Nola can get back to being young Aaron Nola, which obviously that's a lot to ask for somebody who's older, then this could be scary. But it's terrifying to look at those guys if they pitch the way that they can pitch. The problem, now, I mean, Taijuan Walker, I'm not a huge fan of that one at the end. We need Aaron Nola to get his head out of his ass and be Aaron Nola. We need it, because then the starting rotation is locked down. We don't need Taijuan Walker. He can stay in the pen. Which is where I think he would do good. I do think Ranger Suarez would be a good long relief / closer, but if he continues to take steps forward like this, I don't want him out of the starting rotation. I don't. If he continues to have 4-0s, 5-0s in months, yes, more of that. Moving to the bullpen, which is where, again, it gets really ugly because I don't know how to feel anymore. Matt Strahm, I was a big fan of this guy, but I feel like every time he goes out there to pitch, he makes it so much harder on himself than he has to. He's really hard on himself, and I think sometimes you just got to go out there and let it fly. Get out of his head, not think so much about all that stuff. So Matt Strom 0-2, a 4.7 in the month of May. Only 12 strikeouts. He's got to turn it around. I'm going to be honest. If he's going to continue to be the lockdown pitcher in this pen that we need him to be, he's got to turn it around. He's got to. Joe Ross, a 3.9. I mean, I've gone back and forth between Joe Ross. I don't know how to feel really about him. So far, I'm not feeling dynamite about him. Orion Kirkring, this is one that he could be a closer. He can work to be the closer if he pitches great every time. In the month of May, he had a .87, only 8 strikeouts, but he pitched very many innings. Only 10. That's 8 strikeouts of 10. I mean, he needs to continue to evolve, and he can become our closing pitcher. He could be the closer, because right now we moved to Jordan Romano, who I've danced back and forth between. His month of May was not terrible, but it wasn't excellent either. He had a 2.5, which is great, but I want to see a couple more saves out of him. He executed the saves when he needed to do it, but sometimes he comes in the game, man, and I'm like, whoa, with the weird motions and the stuff. What are we doing here? And he just throwing the game away. So, I don't know. I'm so sad about Jose Alvarado. We've gone over this before, and he's becoming an afterthought really fast. But so sad about that, because this could have been a deadly bullpen with some of these guys. But Alvarado throws a monkey wrench in there, and things get turned on their head. So we take a look ahead at the next couple games, the week ahead. We get the Brewers, like I said today. After we finish with the Brewers, we will start a series with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays currently 30-28. I'm expecting another dogfight, honestly, because they're not a slouch of a team. I'm not expecting us to go in there and dominate them by any stretch. That's not what I'm expecting to happen out of that game. We got a 3-game series against them. Once we wrap up with the Blue Jays, we're going to move into a series here with the Pirates. We just took care of the Pirates, so I'm feeling a little bit confident about that one. We should handle that one nicely. By the time we get to the show next week, those will be the games. After that, we get the Cubs. We'll talk about the Cubs series next week. But Pirates series, we just finished off the Pirates. I'm feeling pretty confident about the Pirates. The Blue Jays one, I don't fully know what to expect. I don't know enough about Blue Jays baseball right now, so we'll dive a little into them a little bit later on and see where see where that series is going to be. So we'll see next week how the boys have performed. Hopefully they continue to turn it around. They're looking good. As long as the bullpen continues to evolve. Again, I've said this is a World Series team. Stay healthy. That's the biggest message. Stay healthy. Stay consistent. And this is a World Series team. I don't care what's going on with all the other teams. I don't care if the Dodgers start being the best team in baseball. I don't care if the Yankees look scary by hitting 78 home runs a game with torpedo bats. When we play consistent baseball and the bullpen performs, sky is the limit for this team. Sky's the limit. Well, now we move into our news from around the league. Jump into some topics. Just dance around a couple topics from around the league. I like to do this because, I'm a sports fanatic. I love all sports. Last week, we talked a little bit about the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark situation, what happened in the first game of the season between them. Just to follow up a little bit here on some WNBA news, I'm just going to dive a little more into that. Caitlin Clark actually ended up suffering a quad injury. She has a quad strain. It's going to leave her out for at least 2 weeks. And I think that this is slightly devastating for the WNBA, but it's an opportunity for them to see who the needle movers really are. I think this is a chance for the WNBA to get a shot at which girls are really putting up the numbers, both on the court and off the court. Are the ratings going up for this person? Are the ticket sales going up for this person? Are they dropping? This is a good chance to get an idea of where everybody else stacks up to CC, because she is the reason that this league has taken off. Which brings us to, I listened to a Whitlock podcast where he talked about an article, and then I kind of looked it up and schemed through it myself, where the owner of the WNBA takes credit for the rise of the league over the past few years. And I said this last week when I talked about the WNBA. Nothing against women's professional sports. I have daughters of my own. I want to see them have an opportunity to play any sport that they want to play and have the opportunity to go professional one day if they want to and make money doing it like that. I don't want them to just spend their whole life grinding away at a sport and then once you hit college, it's over. If they can continue to grow the leagues and make them special, then I love the opportunity for women. Again, I have 3 daughters of my own here. I want them to have the opportunity to be a famous athlete if that's what they want to be. If my daughter wants to continue to play softball and become a great softball player, I want her to have a league where she can go be a professional one day and be a star if that's what she wants to do. So I just think that this is a chance, though, for them to really see who the needle movers are. But this woman, she talks in the owner of the NBA, the owner of the WNBA, she talks about how I'm going to look up her name real quick so I do not get her name wrong. I did just look it up the other day. She put out a long article about how basically taking a bunch of credit for all of the success that the WNBA has had. And while her name, Kathy Engelbert, and I knew that was her name, I just had to make sure I was right. She put out this long article of nonsense, talking about how she's done this and that, and she's an amazing businesswoman, and this and that. She mentioned Caitlin Clark like twice, kind of like in passing. Oh yeah, that girl. Oh yeah, there she is. I'm sorry to Kathy. The WNBA has been in a free fall for the almost entire existence of it. Sorry, that's the truth. That's the truth. And the truth hurts a lot of people in this day and age. And it hurts them so bad that you're not allowed to say it. But we're going to say it anyway. It has continued to exist because of the men's league, who want it to exist. The men aren't saying, do away with this. They're not. But, Cece's injury is going to hurt a little bit. And I think that they're going to get a chance to see that now. I think they're going to get an opportunity to find out who, really moves the needle. Because if you think about it, in the standings right now, the New York Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx are dominating. 6-0, both. Both are undefeated. Those games, shouldn't they be just as sold out or just as televised and just as covered as the Fevers? Shouldn't they be? The Fever are only 2-4. I mean, they built a good team around Caitlin Clark, but they got to do a little bit more building, and she's got to stay healthy. Now, I mean, she suffers this devastating injury. Devastating. 2 weeks is a pretty devastating period in the WNBA when you only got about 40 games. That's a devastating amount of games to miss when you're only missing 2 weeks. When you're in the NBA and you got 80, missing 2 weeks is a little bit more. But here it's more devastating to the team. Hopefully they can stay afloat and keep pushing. But, this will be a chance to see if these teams can draw some money here. Dallas has a lot of players who are dominating the stats. They have a lot of players who are taking care of business in the statistic category, but they are not a very good team. And they have Paige Buchers, who's going to be a star, but, she's got to develop into the star. She's not going to be one overnight. And I just think that, they will get there, but it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. But, the WNBA has a chance when Cece comes back to just really focus and build around her and some of the other stars that we say are stars in the WNBA. Angel Reese, Paige. There's a really tall girl, Cameron Brink. She's really, really talented as long as she could stay healthy. She tore something in her leg last season, and that was the end of that. So she stays healthy. These are girls that have a chance to turn women's sports really around and hopefully make them something prominent. Because again, I have daughters. I want to see them be prominent sports players if they want to be. Staying in basketball news too, we'll move over to the NBA, where we saw this picture, I'll put it up here, of Luka Doncic looking like a stud. And next week, maybe we'll dive a little bit more into the Lakers. But he is looking good. So is Zion Williamson, who there's been some just debates and weird things thrown out about these guys using, I know Chad Johnson really kicked it off on the Nightcap show when he accused him of, I don't know about accused, but threw around the idea of them using Ozempic. And it's not, it's not fair to say that. Now, I mean, it's a quick transformation. So anytime you see somebody quickly transform themselves, you immediately think drugs had to be involved, whether it's somebody getting really small like Luka did, or whether it's somebody getting really big. You think steroids, we think Ozempic, weight loss drugs, whatever. But could it just be that their season ended quite a while ago now? They got eliminated first round. While Luka wasn't looking quite the way he looks in these pictures, he was already with LeBron for how long? You got to think that the LeBron diet and the LeBron workouts and coaches were already getting put in place at that time. So just having the time now to focus really on it and grind the past few weeks and, focus on the off-season stuff. I know most times when the off-season ends, you go party and it's over. Let's take some time to breathe. And these guys are working towards a championship, man. There ain't no time for that right now. There ain't no time for chilling and hanging out in the off-season. There ain't. There's only time for work this off-season for the Lakers. It's the potential to be LeBron's last season. So it's only time for work. There ain't no time for being lazy. So the Ozempic argument, even if these guys were using something like that, I don't know if it goes against the NBA's rules, but they're not. Honestly, losing a bunch of weight like that, I'm not going to say that that is a huge advantage to him, because in the NBA, you got to have a good balance of, I feel like, skinny and big, because you want to be able to bump guys off to create shots, but you also want to be able to be, limber enough to get up and down a court and slide through screens and all that stuff. So whether they did or didn't, he looks great. Hopefully he's healthy, and he did it in a way that makes him feel healthy and is healthy. And that's honestly all that matters. As long as he's healthy and feeling healthy, that's what's most important. And that he gets into Luka's shape and this team goes on a run next season. Zion Williamson, I also mentioned there, he does look great too. They threw his name in there too just because they needed to. He, on the other hand, on side news, has been accused of rape and emotional abuse, according to a lawsuit that was filed against him Thursday by a apparently ex of his while he was in college. They put out a 12-page legal complaint that alleges a bunch of abuse and other stuff that happened to him or that he did to this woman while they were in college and stuff like that. And the attorneys came out and everything, and they obviously, because it's what you do in these situations with a professional athlete like this, even depending on who you are, that is the first thing you do. You come out and immediately deny and say that these are very false, and all the accusations are seriously crazy and just ridiculous. They do believe that it is just financially motivated, but the details will come out. There's not very many details to go through right now, so we'll see a little bit more as that comes out, as to what the story really is. Whether he really did anything or didn't. I'm not going to lean on one side of the fence or not yet, because that's always a bad thing to do. When news comes out right away, you always want to jump right on one side or the other, rather than just kind of like waiting to see all the news to kind of get a better idea of the facts. So we'll let the facts come out and see whether he really did anything or not. The NBA also last night ended Inside the NBA on TNT with a very emotional Ernie Johnson dropping the mic, talking about him. Proud to say for the last time, and thanks for watching the Inside the NBA on TNT. At first, you think it's the end of Inside the NBA, and that would be devastating. That would be devastating to not have Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley together. It would be devastating to really not have those guys together, because they're all healthy and can continue to do the show. To not have them doing the show would be devastating. At first, you hear that and you see that and you think, oh my gosh, what's happening? It's over? There's not going to be any more Inside the NBA? There is. TNT's contract with the NBA is just up, so there won't be any more basketball on TNT, period. It will be moved to ESPN and ABC next season, who the world's all about money. They paid more. They got the contracts. So the Inside the NBA crew will move, but their run of nearly 40 years on TNT is over. A storied run. I'm not going to act like it's like a huge thing for most fans. TNT, not a terrible thing to cover, but of covering the NBA, but it is what it is. Those things happen. At least the crew's not breaking up. They're just going to move to ESPN or ABC, and you will still get to see Shaquille O'Neal, Ernie Johnson, and the boys doing the Inside the NBA show, which is good. Which is good for all us basketball fans, because we wouldn't want to see that crew go away. Not yet. Not yet. While they're all healthy and in good mental condition, there's no reason not to. No reason not to have that show running. There's absolutely no reason. We move into a little bit of football news here. A little bit of NFL stuff real quick. OTAs have begun in camps for some of these teams. The Steelers were one of them. Chiefs among the others. Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, Eagles, Niners, Hawks, Titans. A handful of teams began. Not all of them, but a good amount of them did begin their OTAs and camps. We have a couple of just little quick stories that have come out of these camps. And I mean, we're barely into it. And we're already newsing it up about camps. So football season is about to kick off, which is exciting news for everybody. Football related. Joe Flacco, who, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a huge Joe Flacco fan. I'm not. But he's been, I don't want to say harassed, but he's been questioned a lot about if he's going to be a mentor to Sanders and the other guys they have in that locker room. And honestly, blatantly, he almost kind of just said no. He just said, no, that's not my job. My job here is to be a quarterback. And I agree with him. His job to be a mentor is to lead by example. And hopefully those guys watch him do what he does every day he goes to work, and they follow his lead, and they become a quarterback like Joe Flacco. Now, maybe they want to be better and have a better career than Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. He's not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. So I love his answer. No, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to be a quarterback. My job's not to coach yet. That's not what I want to do yet. Not everybody needs to be a mentor just because they're an old, experienced person in that position. Being a mentor and a leader is not for everybody. It's not. You know, and some leaders lead differently. I'd rather, if his mentorship way is to just do his job and those guys watch him, that's fine. Not every mentor likes to be hands-on and, feed everything right in your ear and write it all down for you and take notes and this and that. He's there to play football. He doesn't feel like his career is over, and good for him. If he thinks he can win the starting job and lead the Browns to whatever he could lead the Browns to, we will see you this season, Joe. There were some other QB battles going on around the season, around the league also. I heard the Colts one jumping around that old Danny Dimes is apparently showing up and showing out. Might take that job away from Anthony Richardson. And I think that that's a mistake because Anthony Richardson has a chance to be special. I just think they threw him in the fire a little too fast. Give him a little bit more time to see what he can do at the helm before you pull the plug. What do you got to lose there in Indy? What do you got? What do you got to lose? You got another season you could throw away on Anthony Richardson. Falcons also, all kinds of drama with Kirk Cousins and Riddler, and they don't know the Riddler, and they don't know what they're going to do with this person. Kirk Cousins, I think his time is past, unfortunately. I know that there's been talk about him coming here to Pittsburgh. No, please don't do that. I'm asking you, Steelers and Steelers front office personnel, don't do that. Leave that be where it is. Because the Steelers, while we move into them, they're dealing with their own little bit of drama in the quarterback room with the Aaron Rodgers not being there. Now, it's OTAs, so we're not going to overreact to people who don't come. It's voluntary. Is it good that you're there to get the early start with the team? Yes, but it's voluntary. It's not necessary, so we're not going to hold anything. Not going to say that Rodgers isn't coming. Maybe he doesn't. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I said it last week a lot. I am fine with Mason Rudolph leading this team. Just fine with that. Let Will Howard learn while he can, and maybe he's the future. Maybe he's the future. We got to wait and see, guys. I know that every Steelers fan, analyst, everything is on the edge of their seat still just waiting for that Aaron Rodgers news to break. We all are. We all are waiting for that news to break. And it'll be big news when it finally does break. But until then, just be comfortable with Rudolph, guys. Just be comfortable with Rudolph. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. He could be Ben Roethlisberger 2.0. If we give him a chance. Big guy, can take some shots, can deliver the ball. Big arm. Come on. Come on. That's a little bit from around the NFL. The NFL's starting to kick off, so all the news is going to keep coming in hot and heavy. I just want to, before we tap into our last subject today, which will be the playoffs, I want to tap into this subject. This was brought to my attention. I just happened to see this. Pat McAfee show did a little thing about it, and then I looked a little bit into it. In 2026, Las Vegas is going to be hosting something called the Enhanced Games. And these are like Olympic events, but with athletes that are either juiced, super juiced, yoked to the bones. I mean, up here, hopefully get it up here, show you this before and after of a swimmer who just looks like a monster now. I mean, man, I'd be scared to see that guy coming through the pool. They're going to have swimming, 50 meter, 100 meter. They're going to have a freestyle run, 50, 100. They're going to have a track and field, 100 meter sprint, 100 meter hurdles, weightlifting, snatch, clean, and jerks. I heard this is a growing trend that they're trying to build where they want yoked up, enhanced, juiced up athletes to come break world records. And there's not very many athletes signed up. There's about 4 or 5 maybe. And I hope no more sign up. None from the U.S. as of right now. All guys from other countries, which is fine. I'm not to say that other countries need to be juiced to match the United States. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think that hopefully here in the United States we have continued to be smarter about our health and that we are not getting yoked and juiced and full of steroids and all this other stuff for no reason, just to go out and break some records of stuff that would be more impressive if you broke it not getting very juiced up. How about that? Because if you break those records, don't you feel like there should be like a little asterisk that says like, okay, but it was at enhanced games. So like they were very juiced up very specifically for that. So I don't know. You guys tell me. Tell me how you feel. Tell me if you feel like the enhanced games are a good idea or a bad idea. Personally, I think it's a bad idea. Encouraging athletes to go get juiced up is the complete opposite of what professional sports are supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the best of the best and the best naturally talented. So, you guys tell me. You guys tell me. Wrapping up the show here, we're going to take a quick preview. We are set for the playoffs. Here we go. The playoffs are ready to begin. The NHL playoffs. They will begin on Wednesday with the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Florida Panthers. And this is a tough one to predict. I'm not going to lie to you. The odds are in the favor of Florida right now, 55-45. I think that Bobrovsky is a hard goalie to beat. Sergei is going to be a tough guy to beat. But once you rattle him, if they can rattle him, if Edmonton can rattle him, Connor McDavid can get those boys juiced up and going, sneak a couple past, he starts to get a little shaky. So this is a tough one to predict. I think, the offensive rating leans a little bit more into the Edmonton favor. They got a couple more names out there. Their goals average is slightly higher, just slightly, not very much. This is going to be a good series. This is going to be a good cup. This is a rematch series. Can Edmonton find a way? Is what the question is going to be. Can they find a way to finish it this year? Stuart Skinner better lock in for Edmonton and make sure that offense in front of him goes to work so that Florida can finally be put down. I mean, last season didn't end very well, did it, Edmonton? You fell to the Panthers and they collected that cup. I don't want to see a repeat. I don't want to see a repeat. We really don't. Home ice is going to be a big deal. Hopefully the Edmonton can find a way to sneak a win on Florida home ice. If they can find a way to sneak one in Florida, I think they have the opportunity to become Stanley Cup champions this time around. I think that Connor McDavid and Nugent Hopkins are going to finally get the Stanley Cup this year. I know Marchand was added to the Panthers, but I think it's time. I think it's their time. I think the Oilers get it done. I think it's going to be a great series no matter what. Hopefully it's not a sweep. I think we don't want to see a sweep, but we do want to see a really good series between these two. I think it's going to be. My prediction here, let's put it down. I'm going to say Edmonton, Stanley Cup champions. We're going to say 4-2. It'll be a 4-2 win. It'll be a 4-2 series win. Then we jump over to the NBA, where we are also set for the finals, which will begin on Thursday in OKC, where the OKC Thunder will take on the Indiana Pacers. This is another tough series. Another tough series. It should be another great series, but I think it's going to be another tough series to predict. On the season, the Thunder are 2-0 right now on the season, so they have the edge, if you want to say that. Not that the victories were, the first victory was 120-114 victory. The second one was a little bit higher, 132-111, but yeah, these teams, I'm going to be honest with you, I think this is going to be a tough one to predict also. OKC has been back and forth in these playoffs. They have been getting the job done, and they look a little shaky with Minnesota, but the young guys came out, got it done. Shea Gilgeous looking like Shea. But Indiana, they got hot at the right time. And when you get hot at the right time, that's all that matters. And they ran through some big names in the playoffs. They ran through the Celtics. They ran through the Cavaliers. Now they knocked off the Knicks. I think, honestly, it's Pacers in a 4-3 series win. I think this goes 7 games. I think they duke it out. I'm going to argue that they both win their games on their home court, and it's going to come down to that Game 7. I think Game 7 is going to decide this series just because they both want it so bad. But I think the Pacers, they got hot at the right time. And when you get hot at the right time, that's honestly all that matters. That's all that matters. And you continue to ride that wave and do it the right way. Indiana, get ready for the NBA championship. That'll do it for the podcast this week. Next week, we'll look into a little bit more of the Lakers and the LeBron offseason. Like I mentioned in my first episode, I follow anything LeBron does, so he's the Lakers. We're loving LeBron and the Lakers. We're going to follow them, see what they are up to this offseason, see what they need to do to get LeBron that next ring and let him retire and ride off into the sunset. We'll jump, of course, more into the Phillies again, as we always do, touch on, see where the week went, how the boys are doing, how they started off June. We'll jump into a little bit more baseball. Now that the finals are starting with the other things, we're wrapping them up. So we'll start to pay attention to a little bit more baseball, other teams than just the Phillies. We'll see how the playoffs have begun. Whether my predictions are looking good or looking ugly. We will get a little taste of it next week. And of course, we'll dive into some more random news. But thank you so much for joining me. Until next week. See you later.